Today we're going to be making Fasoulokeftedes. Basically, we're making the Greek version of bean fritters. They're so inexpensive to make if you use whatever you have on hand. I know that many of us have beans in our pantry and sometimes we don't know what to do with them. This is a delicious recipe. Of course, you can use whatever you have on hand. If you don't have one of these ingredients and you have something else, feel free to use that instead. These are delicious as a main course because, as you know, beans are very nutritious. They have a lot of fiber and they also have protein. So you could definitely eat these as a main course, or you can serve them as a side. Completely up to you. Let's go over the ingredients so we can get started. We're going to need some olive oil, some fresh mint, Kalamata olives, which are totally optional, a bell pepper. I have an orange one here, but you use any color that you want. This is a small onion, some panko breadcrumbs. This is some yogurt here, but you can leave it out if you want to keep this vegan. Lemon, black pepper, crushed red pepper flakes, ground cumin, salt, 3 garlic cloves, an egg. Again, you can leave that out too if you want to keep them vegan. I have some scallions here, parsley, and for the beans, I have these giant lima beans, also known as gigantes, but use whatever beans you have. So I use a pound of dried, uncooked giant lima beans. You can use any beans that you have. They could even be from the can if they're already cooked. But if you have uncooked beans laying around and you have these big gigantes, also known as the giant lima beans, what you want to do is you want to soak them overnight in some cold water in a very big bowl. In the morning, put them in a big pot, cover them with water, bring them to a boil. Once they come to a boil, reduce the heat to a medium-low and let them simmer for about 45 minutes, sometimes up to an hour. It just depends how long they're going to take to cook. It depends on their freshness. And then once they're nice and tender, pass them through a colander and drain them, season them with a little bit of salt, and let them cool completely. We're going to process them in a food processor in just a little bit. I'm going to set them aside while I get all the veggies ready. So the veggies are where all of the flavor is. So we're going to start, as always, with an onion. And I'm going to finely chop it. So I'm going to add the onion to my pan with about 1/4 cup of olive oil. And I'm also going to season it with a little bit of salt. And I'm going to let it cook for about 4 minutes or until it begins to soften. In the meantime, I'm going to prepare the bell pepper. Now you could use any color bell pepper that you have. If you want to make this a little spicy, you could even put a jalapeno in here. It's up to you. Just go ahead and chop it up. Next, I have some scallions here. I'm just going to thinly slice them all the way down to the white part. And the scallions have already been washed, so I'm going to put those aside. I'm going to add the bell peppers to the onions because they take a little bit longer to soften. So they're going to soften with the onions. As soon as the onions and the bell peppers are soft, then we're going to go in and add the scallions and let the scallions cook down for about 3 to 4 minutes. Next, we're going to get the garlic ready. I'm just going to grate 3 cloves. Now I'm just going to finely chop the parsley, and we're going to use a bunch of it. So instead of picking the leaves off, I just like to kind of shave it off with a knife. Now just go ahead and pick out the bigger stems. I don't worry about the thin ones too much. And I'm going to save this over here for some stalks. I've already washed the parsley also, and I'm just going to roughly chop it. I'm just going to finely chop it. Next, we have some fresh mint here, and I'm just going to finely chop that as well. Next, we're going to add the garlic and just warm it through for about 20 seconds. The veggies are ready. We're going to take it off the heat, and I'm just going to add in the chopped up herbs. Now, I'm using parsley and mint, but you can definitely use dill or even basil in this if you want to. Ah, that smells so good. The heat woke up those herbs. I'm going to set this aside to cool, and now we're going to puree our beans, and then we're going to put everything all together. So I have a pound of beans here that are cooked. I'm just going to puree them in 2 batches until they're smooth. So this is pretty much what it should look like. Now go ahead and add all of the vegetables to the beans. And save the pan because we're going to fry the bean patties in the same pan. I'm also going to add the chopped up Kalamata olives. Smells so good. I'm going to season it with a teaspoon of ground cumin, a little bit of salt, some black pepper, a pinch of crushed red pepper flakes for heat. You can leave them out if you don't want it. Some Greek yogurt. Again, you can leave the Greek yogurt out if you want to keep these completely vegan, no problem. And about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. That should be, this half lemon should be enough. I'm also gonna add an egg to bind this. If you want this to be vegan, leave it out. And instead you can add a boiled potato to this, that would work too, or some extra breadcrumbs. I'm just gonna whisk it up on the side right here so I don't have to do it in a whole other bowl. And I'm gonna mix everything all together. And what I really should have done, I didn't think of it, is waited to add the egg last, and then you can just mix everything all together and give it a taste to see if it needs more seasoning. So make sure you do that at home and you don't add the egg first. And I'm also gonna add some panko breadcrumbs. So you wanna add enough breadcrumbs to this so that way the mixture sticks. We're gonna form these into patties now. So I'm gonna use a 1/4 cup measuring cup to do this. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of olive oil to my frying pan right here. You can use a non-stick frying pan or a cast iron. Personally, I prefer cast iron, but since I started with this one, I don't wanna dirty another one. Heat it over medium heat. And then with a measuring cup, this is a 1/4 cup measuring cup, you can just form the patties. Now, of course, you can add some feta cheese to this. Some Parmesan cheese would be great too. Even little chunks of Gouda if you're not worried about keeping it vegan. And then you're gonna cook them for about 4 minutes on each side or until they're nice and golden. Put them on a plate that's lined with some paper towels so that we can absorb any excess liquid. And I'll show you what it looks like as soon as they're done. The bean patties are all ready. I like to serve them with a nice salad made of cucumbers, tomatoes, and some onions. I sprinkle it with a little bit of mint and drizzle some olive oil on top. Season with a little bit of salt. I also made a little dip with just some yogurt and mint. I put yogurt, mint, and a little squeeze of lemon and some salt. Mixed it all together and I put them all on a tray. They're all ready. Now if you didn't want to fry them all, pan fry them all, you could definitely freeze the rest. Just put them in the freezer. Once they're frozen solid, transfer them into freezer safe bags and they will stay fresh in there for 2 to 3 months. Then just thaw them out and fry them whenever you need them. It is time to take a bite. I'm gonna put some of that yogurt sauce on here. So tender, slightly crisp on the outside. All of those vegetables in there are sweet and they add nice, delicious flavor. I think you guys are gonna absolutely love these. Head on over to the website, dimitrasdishes.com, print the recipe with all of the exact measurements. Everything is on the blog. Let me know what you guys think and any special requests of what you wanna learn how to make next. Post those in the comments down below. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes,